Novak, please.
Hola Novak, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenido a Madrid nuevamente. Hace 2 años que no venías a este torneo. ¿Qué es lo que extrañabas más de acá, puntualmente el MUTUA Madrid Open y de la ciudad?
Perdona, hacemos una en español y después en inglés.
Okay.
2 en español y después en inglés.
Ok. Sí, buenas tardes a todos. Me extraña, ¿qué me extraña más? Me extraña la atmósfera que pienso que es uno de mejores que tenemos. Todo el centro aquí de todos los estadios son muy lindos, muy eléctricos, con una atmósfera que cuando se juega particularmente a la noche. Siempre tenemos, creo, un buen nivel del tenis cuando juego aquí a Madrid, pero jugaba 2 o 3 veces en los últimos 7 o 8 años, no mucho. Ahora es para mí este año, estoy buscando para el nivel donde puedo jugar mi tenis que quiero, particularmente para el Roland Garros. No tengo muchas expectaciones para el resultado, para ser honesto. Nos vemos. No lo sé, tengo mucha ilusión para jugar aquí porque la gente son muy, me dan muy apoyo. Siento bien estos días del entrenamiento, mucha gente, mucha energía positiva. Espero que puedo utilizar esto para jugar bien.
Una más, alguien.
Vale, bienvenido a Madrid. Este mediodía hemos conocido la baja de Carlitos aquí en el torneo. Quería saber qué opinas que supone pues perder para el torneo madrileño para ti como tenista y compañero, y si le ves en un futuro llegando al nivel que habéis tenido Rafa, Roger y tú. Gracias.
Creo que él ha llegado ya al nivel tenístico, obviamente con resultados. Creo en esta edad ella se puede decir ha sido más que todos nosotros con esta edad. Pero tiene la carrera, tiene mucho tiempo, tiene todo que es necesario para llegar a la historia, no más, hacer más alta historia de nuestro deporte. Sí, no es una noticia muy buena para el torneo, porque Carlos es siempre, en los últimos 2-3 años, la estrella número 1 aquí, con obviamente todo el público español que apoya y que da mucha fuerza a él para jugar bien. Pero creo Monte Carlo, que ha ganado este torneo después. Ha jugado 2 días después del final del Monte Carlo al Barcelona, ha jugado un otro final. Físicamente creo que es respetado que tiene un poquito de problemas. Pero espero que podamos todos nosotros poner buenas sensaciones al público. Sin Alcaraz también.
English, Bremen.
Hi Novak, welcome back to Madrid. It's a bit of a follow-up on what he asked you. You're saying Carlos's levels are ready, where you guys maybe were or something. I'm looking at in terms of injuries and things like that. We used to come to the clay, and Rafa used to literally sweep most of it, and maybe you would go on a run, things like that. And now it feels like this generation isn't really able to put that together, not because of level, but perhaps intensity. I don't know. In your opinion, do you see this next generation, do you see us ever witnessing the kind of, like, you would win the first 40 matches of the year, or Roger would do that, or Rafa would sweep clay? Do you see that happening again, or is the game too physical?
Well, I take that as a compliment from you and for our generation, but look, it's not something that was common. It happened once in every 5 seasons or something, you know what I mean? Yes, there was domination, obviously, from Rafa on clay or Roger on grass, me on hard court, you know, would win, whatever, 3-4 years in a row, Indian Wells, Miami back-to-back, but that also came, for me personally, that level of, I guess, dominant tennis and achievements when I was 23, 4 years old, and then after that. So between, let's say, 23 and 33 was when it was really happening, and Alcaraz is still not 23. So we have to remember that his age and what he has done for his age is not also normal. And I'm sure that we'll see a lot of him on the big stage with trophies in the future, whatever, 10 years, 15 years, as long as he's playing. I mean, the competition is always there. You know, I think every generation has its different competition. You know, it's hard to compare eras. The last 20 years was dominated mostly by the 4 of us, and you know, obviously when the 3 of my biggest rivals retired, and you know, you can feel there's a shift, not only in terms of the generations of players that are come now, all of a sudden, you know, the main focus and attention is on them, but it's just, you know, I guess it takes a little bit of time for people to accept the fact that Roger and Rafa are not playing, and Murray, and I guess one day myself, but I'm still trying to stay there and represent the older guys, the older generation. And hopefully that brings the positive effect to the tournaments and to the tour itself. You know, that's also one of the reasons why I keep on playing, is because I feel like it also helps tennis still thrive on the attention and crowd coming in and watching tournaments and getting interested. But if you see the numbers actually of the attendance in the Grand Slams as well, and some like Indian Wells, it's some record-breaking crowd in the last few years. You know, so which is good news that, you know, it shouldn't be dependent only on the big stars or legends of the game that retired. The sport should outlive everyone. The sport will outlive everyone, and the sport is more important than anybody individually. So we are all here in the service of a sport as well, you know. So I think this is something to keep in mind, that, you know, when you play and all of the things that you're doing outside of the court as a top player, you are trying to contribute to the popularity of the tennis, to bring more people, bring young children and people to tennis, and get interested and excited about tennis, which I see happening, but you know, I think we still have big steps to make in that regard, and yeah, that's pretty much.
Hey Novak, I'm writing a piece about drop shots, and I'm particularly curious with you about the counter drop shot. When someone drop shots you, and you have to chase it down and come up with, you know, quality, like an angle or a drop shot, you're better at getting out of them than pretty much anyone. So I'm curious, like how...
Used to be, my friend. My drop shots haven't been that great in the last few years.
What's like, how challenging is that shot, the like counter drop shot, and what's like the key to it?
Well, I think it depends, you know, where you play and in which kind of particular situation you're in. Obviously, when the ball trajectory is dropping down almost to hit the ground before the second bounce, it's normally the choice that you have there is to play a short cross-court counter, you know, counter drop shot if you want, or counter drop shot with the backspin, which is a very difficult shot to execute. But it's a very good choice if the opponent is staying on the baseline. But that's a decision that is made in a split second, you know, tenths of a split of a second. It's really almost with a peripheric vision of understanding where is the position of your opponent. And if you see him moving forward, then in the last second, you, instead of doing counter drop shot, maybe you just try to push the ball deep and close the net. I mean, it's tennis is a sport of really fine margins, and those split second decisions are normal in a way for us, and our brain has to work really fast to be able to make these decisions, and it's sometimes cat and mouse really of kind of a strategic tactical play between the two opponents, and it's good to see. But on clay, I think that counter drop shot is a pretty good choice, to be honest. Even on grass, I feel, if you're able to really play it well with the right rotation, it's a good shot.
Novak, can I just ask, coming up is 10 years since your French Open final with Stan, and I just wondered where that ranks sort of best performance by someone against you that you've ever witnessed, and your memories of that match.
On the big stage, yeah, of course. I mean, that was, one of the toughest losses for me, because by that time I still haven't won Roland Garros, and that was, I don't know which final for me already. And I thought, I'm not playing Rafa for a change in the finals, and I, liked my chances to win my first French Open title, but then Stan stole it from me, and he played some incredible tennis. We still joke around. I tell him that the reason why he played so well is because of their shorts. I don't know how many of you remember that famous shorts that he was wearing, and he came up with the post-finals press conference with that shorts, and I really hated him since then. But no, we're good buddies, of course. I joke, and he's an incredible player, someone I really admire as a person as well, and I think he's very underestimated in the discussions. And he's won gold medal Olympics. He's won 3 Grand Slams, and just an amazing career. And he's 40 years old, with God knows how many surgeries on the knees and everything, and he's still pushing, still coming in early in the tournaments, showing up, one of the first people that shows up in the club, and practices early and does everything that he needs to do, even more. So, I mean, that's super impressive. I really admire him, and Andy as well for that, going to the challenger level, trying to build your rankings, trying to get matches, I've never done that. I'm never in that position that I have to. I hopefully don't need to build rankings again back to go challenger level, but I really admire that. That says a lot about the champion spirit and mentality that these guys have.
Hi, Novak. Juan Martín del Potro said that he only will be coach if was on your team. Is that possible, or you're fine with your team now?
Well, for now, I'm fine, but you never know. I mean, he's a great friend and someone that I really like a lot as a person. His values, his family, and we had a fantastic time in Argentina for his farewell match. I was very honored to be the last player he's going to play with, and he was in Miami watching my matches, more than few, from the box. So that was also exciting, because I really admire his tennis as well and the way he played it, and we talked a little bit about the game, and it was very interesting to listen to him, to see how he observes the game. So you never know. Let's see. I'm a young player. I have a lot of time, so I have many years to think about.
Hi, Novak here, first row. Yesterday was released here in Spain, Alcaraz documentary, and it's like a kind of a debate around a sentence he said there of being a slave of the game, being focused 100% on tennis. So I would like to know how a slave, if that's the word, have you feel yourself to achieve what you have achieved in tennis?
I understand that, that's a little bit of a harsh word to describe the feeling of being locked by the game in some way, a game of life or the game of your profession, of this sport. But I do understand why he said it, because it's an individual sport, and it requires the 100%, really 100% of your physical, but also mental and emotional energy involved in the life of a tennis player, which is much more than just hitting a tennis ball on the court. So it takes a lot of your time from your year or years of your life. okay, because in the end of the day, if it's your choice, you know, not everyone has a choice, of course. A lot of people are suffering in the other areas of life, and we know that, so I don't want this to sound that we are very arrogant or something like this, pretentious, but, you know, we are blessed to be able to do what we do. You know, most of us love tennis, love the sport, and we fell in love as kids, and here we are playing on the highest level, speaking in front of, you know, full media room, and it's, of course, a lot of positivity that comes from that. And you have a lot of rewards for that. But of course, it's not easy. You know, you have a lot of challenges, and one of them is the season length of the tennis, which is the longest of any sport in the world, global sport. You know, it starts in January, ends up in almost end of November. So it's I mean, for me, it has always been really long, particularly in the last few years with some changes and the 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks long 1,000 events. Now we essentially don't have 4 Grand Slams, we have maybe 12 Grand Slams, you know, when you think about it, because every Grand Slam is 2 weeks, and now you have 1,000 events that are also almost 2 weeks. So it's a lot. It's a lot of the time that you spend on the road, not seeing maybe your family or not being at home, and it depends on the person or the player, but of course it drains you a lot. It gives you opportunity to do your work, of course, in your profession, and to do how can I say, thankful that you're doing something you're passionate about and you are successful in it, but at the same time, there's the other side as well. So, you know, I understand why he said it, but maybe he used a little bit of a harsh word to describe it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Serbia? No? No.